A show based on the facts, honesty, the man, the myth, the legend. ChristiTutionalist Joseph M. Leonard.
Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP, in association with TheLibertyBeacon.com, and I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Leonard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show! Hey gang, this is going to be another kind of different show. In the past, I was on with Rick Walker, Maverick News, and that topic was a topic of this show, so I just, with permission, thankfully from Rick, was able to pull that segment from that show into my show rather than record a whole new show. And cheating again. Not really cheating. I mean, this is good cross-promotion and all that. But today, as I'm recording this actually on Saturday, November the 16th, for the We the People Demand List Part 1, Episode 79 of CTP that will air December 21st, recording this intro, just got off with him, recorded that segment, half hour with him on his radio show, Wham Radio, Your American Heritage, every Saturday. You hear the ad in the mid-rolls every Saturday. Starting December 7th will be 2 hours from 1 to 2. Now it's still just Saturdays 2 to 3, but I was on the second half, 2:30 to 3, with Ed discussing the We the People Demand List, reminding we the people, based on our documents and our founders' intent, are the bosses, not them, and we need to exert our authority, and we the people demand list these items. You do not whatever you want to do. Instead, we are watching. We are not going back to sleep this time. We are watching. We will stay involved. At any rate, on with the excerpt of the half hour-ish that I was on.
Yeah, and so previously we had a great discussion with Pastor Richard Dieter, and now we've got Joe Leonard. He's the author of Terrorist Strikes, Coming to a City Near You, and also Christitutionalist Politics, Christian-Based U.S. Constitutionalism. Joe's a frequent caller, a Republican Party operative, and he's got his own podcast. And so, Joe, quickly tell us about your podcast, and then you and I are going to discuss a list that you came up with.
Yeah, a new contract with America years ago. Then I wrote Contract from America. So now I've got We the People Demand List. So keep people involved, be positive, things we can talk about positively to do rather than just whine, moan, and complain online about the way things are. But yeah, Christitutionalist politics, right? I trademarked it. Conservative has negative connotations to it often in people's minds. So I figured, hey, Christitutionalist, Christian, Judeo-Christian foundation ethos-based constitutionalism, Christitutionalist. But to what Rick had said, you and Rick were talking about, I quickly printed this off. I talk about it on occasion. Wisdom, Rick said, right? Thinking, using our brain that God gave us. From King James, a wise man's heart is at his right hand, but a fool's heart is at his left. The Bible talked about our current politics long ago. You have the leftists, oh, but my feelings, and then you have us talking about logic, reason, common sense, thinking through things, not just feel, we got to be feeling creatures. But if it rules us all the time, recipe for disaster. And the Bible talks about that.
Yeah, well, we're a biblically based culture. Now, it's interesting. I called into Theron's show earlier this week, and I got gently taken to the woodshed over something I said in the way that I said it. And basically, I said something along the lines of, I'm a Christian, and even as a Christian, I support Rick Grinnell, who's gay, for what he's doing. And I was doing it in a sense that, hey, I'm not prejudiced, and then he let me know that, well, you didn't have to mention Christian. You don't have to bring that into the argument. And I realized I sounded kind of like the guy who says, hey, I'm not a racist. I have a few black friends, or I get along fine with black people. So, I know where I was coming from, and I know how it sounded too. I was like, as Christians, we're the tolerant ones. That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm going to go with that. We're the tolerant ones. We're not the intolerant ones that want to shut up anybody that doesn't agree with them. And, you mentioned something that tied into what Rick was saying previously, that his search for the truth about indigenous peoples was being hindered by government regulations or government institutions like the Smithsonian that preclude, that's the word, even saying anything different about where Indians came from or how they got here. And that's like, wow, they all of a sudden they're a protected class. Everybody's a protected class in this culture, but
that's leftist, deep state government. Our narrative can be the only narrative. The leftist man-made climate hysteria, false pseudoscience narrative, bought science, government grants to people who will say what the government wants them to say so that they keep getting money, not real science where it actually leads to reality. And to what you were saying, I talk about it all the time on my show. As a Christian, I have gay and lesbian friends, and they have no problem with me as a Christian and my traditional marriage stance, because they also know I'm willing to help protect them legally through civil unions, but protect traditional marriage. And they are far and above, right? The tolerance and acceptance crowd. Final judgment is for the Lord, not me. So as long as you don't cross that red line to what I call and coined gaytivists engaging in gaytivism, pedophilia, grooming, that's not born this way, tolerance and acceptance.
Transgender surgery.
Yeah, that is recruitment. That is grooming. That is pedophilia. Big difference. Red line cannot be crossed.
Boy, I'm almost tempted to play that Bob Hope clip, but I'm going to move on from that right now. That may end up in the show. Yeah, we'll see. But so you had this list, and it was like the contract for America, which the Dems used to call the contract on America. And that was supposed to be a selling point to get us into office. But now we're in office. And so basically, to me, it becomes a to-do list. And I've plucked a few things out of your list, and I've added a few things of mine. And so while I was talking to Rick, I made point number one: stop protecting people's feelings because of indigenous people's hurt feelings laws, by the Smithsonian and other government.
That's in my We the People demand list, which you could find at change.org as an official petition. Only 20 items there. Or beforeitsnews.com, We the People demand list as an article, which is now ballooning over 40 items, as DEI must DIE, which, of course, I got from you. Chris Salcedo stole it and using it now on Newsmax, but you were the first to start calling DEI DIE, and it is true. It's about
stole it from, but that's okay.
Yeah, but it's killing our culture. That's what it's about.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Podcast fans, Get more about your favorite podcasts via deepcast.fm, transcripts, and all kinds of extra available information on your favorite podcast, including ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, is listed at deepcast.fm, as well as, are you a podcaster? Well, you can claim your free listing and more via Deepcast Pro. Check out tinyurl.com/DeepcastPro for podcasters for your free listing, and that's the number 4 in there. tinyurl.com/DeepcastPro for podcasters, the number 4, Deepcast Pro, the number 4 podcasters via tinyurl.com extension. Take care, all. You gotta check them out. Get more out of your podcast, whether you're the podcaster or the podcastee. Yeah, I think I just invented that word.
You know, as we go down this list, if anybody wants to call in and briefly suggest something, the number is 722. Derek,
No.
what's that number? 734-822-1600. Boy, it's been a while. 734-822-1600. Even Joe knows the number because you dial it. You don't have it on speed dial, do you? So, you know, my number one is pardons for the January 6th and abortion protest. Pardons for those people right off the bat. If you've been protesting abortions, especially the ones that, I'm not talking about firebombers, I'm talking about the ones who were standing praying out front. The 80-year-old lady who I interviewed, Ava Adel, who's, you know, facing sentencing, which could end up being a life sentence at 11 years for this FACE Act, or I think it's called the FACE Act, for supposedly stopping entry into an abortion clinic, an abortion mill. And the January 6th protesters, I'm trusting that on day one that Donald Trump is going to. Now, he said he's going to go through the list. There's a lot of people on that list. I'd rather see a blanket pardon. They've served time. It's enough. Nobody killed anybody. What do you think?
No, I agree. Part of repealing or reworking at least the FACE Act is like the Patriot Act. Of course, there's an entry in We the People Demand list. Demand you rework the Patriot Act so it's what it's supposed to be, not used like we're talking now. Weaponization of our government agencies against our own people, doing legitimate regress of our government and or actions. So multiple items in the We the People Demand list relate to what we're talking about here.
Okay, good. And then there's, you know, we would have had this last time if it wasn't for Paul Ryan stopping it, and that'd be CPL, CCW, national reciprocity, where if I get a license to drive in one state, I'm allowed to drive in any other state. If I get a license to carry a gun in one state, that license carries in another state, which basically says, hey, we get some sanity in our gun laws in this country.
This is a perfect example of art of the deal. I want Mars. CCW reciprocity or CPL reciprocity to me is the moon. All right. I'm asking in my We the People Demand list, complete constitutional carry, recognition of the Second Amendment has been infringed, and repeals all laws that indeed have infringed upon our right. I'm willing to settle for the moon. CCW reciprocity for now, because then I'm going to build bases on the moon to get to Mars.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I like that. And of course, two things we need to do immediately is pack the Supreme Court and eliminate the filibuster.
Oh, no, that's the left. Yeah. No, exactly. One of my demands is a protection of the Filibuster Act. And yeah, the Protection of the Courts Act. Exactly. But another one.
No, Joe, I want to propose that we pack the Supreme Court and eliminate the filibuster and watch heads explode. It's
yeah,
like, they don't want us to do it. They want to do it. But boy, get them on record to oppose that. And then your part is safe, right?
Yeah. And you know what? There was George Papadopoulos. You kind of segue. We can't be as bad as the left, right? George Papadopoulos suggesting declare Congress in reset and make all of them recess appointments. That's a violation of original intent. And we can't be as bad as them. If you want to do leftist things, go join the Commie-Fascist Socialist Party. We are the rule of law, the Constitution Party, the ChristiTutionalist Politics Party, and we've got to do the right thing, even though at times it might be inconvenient.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you're urging people to go join the other party when they're all trying to get over here. It's amazing. The amount of Democrats says, that being a Republican doesn't sound like a bad thing. Hey, we asked for calls and we got Gary on the phone. Let's see what Gary has to contribute. Hey, Gary.
Hey, gentlemen. Are you still there, Rick?
No, Rick's gone. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, nice talking to you, Gary. No, I'm kidding.
Look, we demand that you stop telling everybody that we're standing on American Indian or indigenous people's land. We are not. We're standing on American soil. I'm tired of them complaining centuries after Christopher Columbus came around. He's not responsible for everything. If you want to look to who's responsible for the troubles in this hemisphere, look to people like Noriega and Fidel Castro and Woodrow Wilson. Get off the back of Christopher Columbus. And they complain that we did these things to the American Indians, like poison them with biological weapons like smallpox. Well, the Democrats are doing that to us right now with the COVID. So it's a wash. They complain that we took their land. Well, we did. We did that. We conquered it and bought some of it. But they're allowing other people now to invade our country. So then now that's a wash between the Democrats. I'm not talking about the American Indians. I'm talking about the Democrats who are complaining all the time. What do? We took their kids, right? And we tried to turn them into little white boys. Yes, we did that. But they are taking our kids and turning them against their bodies, turning them against their minds, turning them against their family, their faith. So everything that they're complaining about, what we did to the indigenous people, they're doing to us right now in real time. So they can just pack sand.
Oh, they've done it all along. Look back, Trail of Tears. Who was that? Commie-Fascist Sociocrats, Democrat administration. All the bad things that
was Andrew Jackson, the founder of the Democrat Party.
Yes. All the negative things that and slavery, all the negative things that they complain about on the left is so bad and we got to destroy America was done by who? The Democrats. And before I forget, I got to say, I know like Jenny and Walter called into ART this morning, and Elizabeth calls in on occasion. They don't need to hear this, but people need to hear this. So you voted. So what? What are you doing 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 2 decades from now, staying involved to make a difference? Because going back to sleep and letting the shop, it's like the shop floor manager going on permanent coffee break and wondering why when he goes back, the crazies on the shop floor didn't do their jobs that we hired them to do.
Enough people wrote their state's legislators this week, and we stopped that stupid electoral college compact thing. That blows me away. The Democrats control this state government, and they did not get the compact for electoral votes, which would force us to lose our electoral votes, our power of vote, and it would be transferred to the national popular vote. Gary, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
Yeah, we voted down a ballot proposition to do jungle primaries down here.
Yeah.
So that's positive. And we also enabled our law enforcement to arrest illegal aliens by a ballot initiative. So,
that's in Arizona.
Arizona is in the fight. Arizona's going to stand strong. Me and my friends, before I called you guys, we were strategizing to keep and take back and fight. I was nominated captain of the honor guard, gentlemen. So I will be marching around in a little uniform with a flag.
Whoa, that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, we need, as I said on Dick Kupke's show, we need to stop being strategically stupid. We got here incrementally. We're not going to get it all undone overnight. Some incremental steps may need to be taken and call them a win. We need short, medium, and long-term plans, not all or nothing, or we're going to take our ball and go home and give up. That's not how it works. You win a war generally by winning small battles, some bigger ones, till you get to the point where you overwhelm the enemy, they surrender, right? So we need to be more strategically smart, not strategically stupid. But to Gary's point and yours, the Electoral College, another brilliant check and balance of our founders, and in the we the people demand list, because again, we the people, that's what the documents say, not they in DC. We the people are the bosses. We the people got to be involved. We the people demand list repeal of the 17th Amendment, which was a destruction of the 10th Amendment by direct election of U.S. senators rather than them coming from the legislatures of the state where they belong, protecting states' rights.
That's going to have to be generated in the states, because I don't see us getting the Senate to go along with that. So we're going to have to come up with the repeal of the 17th by petition across the country, state by state, just like they try to get any other popular constitutional amendment.
Yeah,
So,
but okay, yeah, but it's in the list, and we're not going to agree with everything in the list or how to accomplish what's in the list that we agree with. That's not the point. Signing on to it is signing on to general idea of roar, #roar. And I'm not talking Katy Perry fanboy of the Helen Reddy tribute song and video. I'm talking roar, restore our American republic. You don't know the Katy Perry song? I'm talking about it.
I want to know. Thanks anyhow.
But restore our American republic, #roar, not the Katy Perry song.
Good. I like that. So yeah.
One last comment, gentlemen. You're talking about winning the war incrementally, or a piece at a time. Well, we just had an outstanding victory, and I would compare it only because of the size of it to El Alamein, to Gettysburg, to Midway, to the Battle of the Bulge. Politically, what we did in this country last week was fundamentally awesome, and we just got to keep moving. And if they had run any better candidates, we probably wouldn't be here today. They ran the worst possible candidates they could come up with. If they come up with better candidates, the battle is still going to be difficult. So fight on, gentlemen, fight on.
Well, that goes back to the feelings versus thinking, and the lie ads, as I talked on ART this morning about abortion. I would have died if not for abortion, but yet she's standing on stage at the DNC convention with her baby. She didn't get the abortion. She lived. There she is, her baby, her husband, proving our pro-life point. Life of the mother is a farce, and life, incest, rape are all less than 1% of all abortions anyway. They keep lying to what? Endure emotional hysteric reactions as opposed to thinking, logic, reason, fact-based things.
You know, I'm going to say that I think a lot of the credit for our win this time is a result of prayer. I mean, when we see the confusion in the enemy's camp, total confusion in this campaign, their campaign, and that's just a tactic that you see all throughout the Old Testament. Whenever the Israelites went out to do battle and God gave them favor, they often didn't even have to fight. They just stood back and watched the enemy kill themselves. And we saw that happen this time. So I see a godly hand in there. And you're talking about
2 Chronicles 7:14. Pray, turn from wicked ways, I shall heal land. People want to leave out that turn from wicked ways part. That means we do things. God hears and helps, not just waves the magic wand. We, the people, must do things to turn the nation from the wicked ways, and God helps.
And I believe that's a generic promise. It's not to the Israelis only. I've heard it said, oh, that was an Old Testament. That's only to the Jews. No, if we become his people, he will heal our land.
Yeah.
That's
and
good.
You mentioned JFK thing with JFK, RFK, and the UFOs. That's in the We the People demand list. Yeah. With Rick, you mentioned
JFK.
it.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. Yep.
Right. I mean, Trump last time tried to release the JFK files. We need the JFK files, the RFK files, and the MLK Jr. files, all minus any redaction. It has been far too long.
He got talked out of it by swamp creature CIA director Mike Pompeo. And
won't fall for it this time. Yeah,
I don't think so. Derek, how much longer we have? I'm concerned. 1 minute. Oh, I wanted to read this. There's an excellent Substack, and it talks about this guy talks about what DC is facing, and he talks about Elon Musk and the credentials of Vivek Ramaswamy and the rest, and says
Doge.
So screwed. DC has no one like this. They have never even met people like this, because people like this avoid government like it was a bag of plague rats, because it is. But now they are interested and looking to play exterminator because the state strayed too far into our world, and so now we are coming for their world. I had a friend to say on Facebook today, and he says, Al Wassel, and he says, you think the swamp is just going to roll over? I said, no, they're going to get rolled over. Yeah.
And one last thing about Wham. Thank you for having me here. I mean, we can't be on our couch unless if it's in a situation like this to do things, promote things positively. The demand list, advocate, not just whine. But Theron is going to be TRC, tinyurl.com/TRCMI.
Okay, he's going to be hosting that, right? Well, thanks for joining me. This has been Your American Heritage. The music is probably started already. Come on back next week. I'll have better guests.
If you are looking at behind-the-scenes video rather than hearing this on audio, no, do not attempt to adjust your equipment. I did not bother to pull down the green screen for this closeout segment, and indeed you see the ugly couch with, like I said, there's another laptop there, there's all kinds of paperwork there. As I said, I'm not a hoarder, but unfortunately I'm a slob, and that's why I use the green screen to hide all the stuff I got over here. At any rate, the closeout. Normally I close out with take care, God bless. This time, I want a little tough love delivery. Seriously, the episode you just saw, or if you're seeing this as I plan to rush this out as a sneak peek segment before the December shows, but this is officially the close of the We the People Demands list, part 1, December 21st, planned for. Seriously, are you helping? As said in the episode, what are you doing? Have you gone back to the couch? It's in our documents, we the people. It's not him, the Donald Trump. It's not that person over there. It's not the man and woman you may have run into at the convenience store a few minutes ago who were desperately trying to get some milk so that their children can have something good to go with what little they have to give them in the morning for a meal, rather than, say, giving them a glass of water out of old rusty pipes. that calcium lime deposits are in, because people you may or may not have helped elect, but are now no longer paying any attention to, not doing the will of the people, but their will, passed an infrastructure bill that was really a money laundering scheme to put money in their friends, their family members, their donors' pockets, rather than a real infrastructure bill that would help with our decaying pipe situations. No. You honestly want to fool yourself or have us believe you have absolutely no time whatsoever, not a minute or two here and there, to do things, to put pressure on our officials to do the right thing. You have not 2 pennies to spare out of your budget, even though, hey, you got plenty for whatever nights out, that you can't spare anything if you don't have the time to maybe help an organization that is trying to get the right things done, or charity organization gifts to help people in need. You don't have any of that. Let somebody else do it. A failing of render unto Caesar, a misapplication. And again, yes, the video is screwed up here. I don't care. Not the point, not important. What's important that we, the people, like our documents say, do things and pay attention and be involved. Oh, let them do it. Let them do it. It's up to you. I can't be bothered, right? Tough love you're not going to get somewhere else. I want you, after you're done with this, at home, or indeed, I joke, you can listen at the diner over lunch, usually 30-minute episode. Okay. If you're at an eatery, lunch, dinner, whatever, if you're at home, I want you to go to your bathroom after this. Seriously. This is not a metaphor. It's not an analogy. It's not, me being cute. I literally want you to get off your duff wherever you are. First chance you have at the eatery, go to the bathroom, go to your own bathroom, whatever. When you have a moment, I want you to seriously look in that mirror at yourself. And will you honestly say, I resolve to stay active and engaged, and a force for positive directions, rather than, let everybody else do it. If, as the saying goes, you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Can you honestly look yourself in the face in the mirror and say, I resolve, I will stay active and involved. I will be awake, not woke. I will pay attention. We need to roar, restore our American Republic rather than letting it die. It's the ambivalence and complacency that has allowed us to get to this dire point. And it's now or never. It's do or die. Will you stare yourself in the face in the mirror? I resolve I will not drop the ball this time. Or are you going to be honest enough to then say you're part of the problem? Again, normally I would say take care and God bless, but this time I say, are you going to be part of the solution, or are you part of the problem? Dwell on that. Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come, but for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.